you're working with 350 students here in Baltimore, you have to make sure that those 350 students are getting the highest quality experience that you can. It's not just about what you're learning in the classroom. Oftentimes the best experience happens outside of the classroom. And so we talk about learning experiences at their corporate internship. We talked about that at their extracurricular activities. Everything's a learning activity so that they can continue to improve and evolve. The way that you scale that is that when you're sending students out into the corporate sector for an internship, to ensure that those relationships and bonds and bridges that are being built from a neighborhood in Cherry Hill where the college graduation rate is 5%. How do you have a student from Cherry Hill that walks into Legg Mason and has this incredible experience, but essentially initially is a little overwhelmed at the experience, but when you provide a lot of support, a lot of care, and really high expectations, that's one of 350 students. And when you multiply that out every single year with 100 graduates, over time what you're doing is it's a multiplying effect that can be leveraged, and that can impact Baltimore. And what we've seen is the scalable factor is this: when you impact one student, you impact an entire family, you impact an entire street, and you impact an entire neighborhood. That's the multiplying effect. We've talked about this. You don't need a school of 1,000 or 2,000. What you do is you change it for one student, because when you do it that way, you're then changing it for his or her family, the neighborhood, and also as they grow up, college is a possibility, right? Learning to code is a possibility. Going into advertising and being really creative, those are all opportunities. Fixing problems around the city that they see in terms of pollution in the harbor, and working on that in school, and then realizing that I could be a part of something bigger and impact my neighborhood. So that's the scalable effect for us. The other way that it's scalable is this: when other schools, cities around the country see the success that Baltimore's having in terms of Cristo Rey, Richmond, Virginia visited here a year ago. And Richmond's doing a feasibility study, and they're determining whether they're going to start a Cristo Rey. And they're saying, Baltimore can do it. I think we can do this. Let's see if it's possible. And so that's also scalable. So when you see another Cristo Rey popping up in Richmond, Virginia, and then the next one popping up in the city across the country, those are opportunities to leverage our inner cities. It's important to emphasize that when people become involved with Cristo Rey, that there's a web of influence there. And it's beyond just a single network, a one-to-one network. There's a web of influence that impacts everything the student, the family, the neighborhood does. And so whether it's a scholarship benefactor or a corporate internship, we're teaching our students to stay in touch and develop relationships over time. And we've seen experiences. The Whiting & Turner Contract Company is a great example of that, where one of our students finished and they had their corporate internship there. They had such a positive experience, they kept working there during the summertime on breaks from college. Even decided to change their major because of the experience they were having. And the close relationship, and eventually the student was offered a job there. That's an incredible experience. That's the power of the web of influence. And I think that we can't underestimate that, the power of mentoring and relationships. And we're always trying to plant seeds of hope for kids. And when we do that, there's no doubt that our kids can become great. Well, I'm a big believer in small schools, number one. And so, I think the personalization in schools matters a great deal. And so when I've been in high schools of 2,000 or even 1,000 or even 750, for me, those schools need to be much smaller. So that's number one. So I think those are. I think also the piece is this: teacher quality matters, and so we have 22 full-time teachers here. And it's really, really important that the quality of those teachers is very, very high. Quality in terms of their ability to teach, quality in terms of their ability to be caring and nurturing. It takes a special combination. Quality in terms of the highest expectations and not taking a break. We often talk about it in terms of sports. You can't take a play off. You can't take a day off. Every day matters, every class matters. So those are things that are really important. I would also leverage the resources around the Baltimore region, and I think Krista Ray has done a remarkable job of that. There are a lot of learning opportunities, and people care a great deal about the students in Baltimore City. And when you start to connect them to caring adults and innovative environments, a light bulb goes off for students. And sadly, I don't know that that's always happening on such a large scale. The other thing that I would do is take a historical look at the 3 or 4 top schools in Baltimore. Oftentimes created a segregated environment in Baltimore in terms of the top students going to the top 3 or 4 schools. And those same level of resources should be given to every student, no matter your ability. And I would also start to look at a growth. How can we look at, instead of just overall performance, how do you look at how much a student is growing every single year, year to year?